So, following up with that, our own Reverend D. Jacqueline Edwards on S or C. Rev?
Hey, church.
Hey, Rev. Hey, Rev.
Happy Sunday. There I am. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Yes, let's welcome Chuck, our new drummer. Hey, welcome. Thank you so much.
And happy birthday.
Thank you again.
And your outfit is stunning.
Oh, well, thank you, darling.
It is hot, honey.
Okay. Hi. So, we are talking about money the entire month. We get a whole month of discussion, and what I'm knowing is that in that we're also going to have some manifestation, right? Because, we don't want to just talk about it. We want to get some. We want to have some more. Yes? Anybody that does not want more money, raise your hand and I'll throw a little something in for you in today's talk. Okay, well, there's nobody in here that raised their hand. So, where do we want to start? Well, we want to start where we start with everything else, which is God is all there is, and there is nothing else regardless of appearances. And guess what? That includes money. That absolutely includes money. Money is an emanation of the divine. The way Ernest Holmes says it, he says, money then, the same as all other things, is a spiritual idea. So, when we are wanting to pursue something that is spiritual in nature, then we've got to use our spiritual tools. The same tools that we use for everything else, right? We have affirmation, we have prayer, we have visioning, and we're going to talk a little bit about, actually, we're going to have a little visioning ceremony a little bit later in the service. But we have these spiritual tools that we don't get away from, that we do not get to escape, that we can't say, well, I'm going to pray and do my spiritual practices on Sunday, and maybe if somebody's in trouble, I'm going to throw some spiritual practices on that, when I have a problem. Because when we have problems, we immediately go there, right? We start with, oh my God. So we introduce it. We introduce God right into it at the very beginning of the thing that we don't want, right? And then we say, I guess I better pray. I guess I better go talk to my prayer partner. I guess I better see a practitioner when there's a problem. What we're invited to do is have spiritual practices such that we are always prayed up, right? And to remember that since God is all there is, we can apply these same tools in every area of our lives, including money. Yes?
Every area?
Every area. Every area, including, and for some of us, especially money. And when I say for some of us, especially money, I'm really talking about, oh wait, me. Because when I got here to this place called religious science, that's what was up for me. For some people it's health, for some people it's relationships, or some combination thereof. For me it was money, right? And somebody told me, those people, there's some manifesting people up in there. I said, well, that's where I need to be. And I came here. I was a little disgruntled when they told me I had to do some praying and meditating and that sort of thing, because I thought there was some kind of magic, right? I thought there was some magical formula that someone would give me and they would say, do this, and then bam, it would be done, right? All my needs would be met. All my financial needs would be met. Well, there's a yes and a no to that, because there is a magical quality about our spiritual practice. And the magical quality about it has to do with that point, that moment when we absolutely know. Not when we think, when we wonder, but when we absolutely know our oneness with the divine. When we feel that oneness with the divine. And what I would invite you to consider is that you have had that experience. Every one of us has had an experience at some point in our lives, as already noted, often driven by some kind of a problem, where we went in deep, where we let go of all of our own self-control, where we, as we like to say, let go and let God. And when we let go and we let God, what we in our human might call magic happened. The healing happened. The money showed up. The conversation in the relationship was suddenly not me speaking, but it was spirit speaking to spirit. And in that spirit speaking to spirit, there was an understanding and there was a healing that evolved in the relationship. We've all had those magical moments. What our current life on this planet is inviting us to do is to ratchet it up, to bump it up, to be in that every day. To every day start from, lead from our spiritual core. That is what we are invited to do. Any and everything that you see, because I know even though I tell y'all don't watch the news, you do anyway. Any and everything you see when you pick up the newspaper, when you look at TV, is an invitation to go to your spiritual core. Is an invitation to season it with some spirit, with some God, right? Your mail is an invitation for those of us that get mail or your email, because I know a lot of us get an email reminder. I get emails and texts. Your bill to whoever, PG&E, is due in so many days. If you've already paid it, don't worry about it, right? But when I get that, I affirm, I declare, I remind myself. I have a little thing I write on the bottom of my checks, TYGUS. Thank you, God, for your unlimited supply. For your unlimited supply. So when I get my bills, I'm like, hey, I have another opportunity to demonstrate the abundance of God. I bless it. I'm grateful. These people trusted me for yet another 30 days. They let me have some light and some water. They picked up my garbage, you know. There's a trust relationship there, y'all. We don't think of it that way, but that's really what it is. You know, we like to think about that PG&E, but really, there's a trust relationship. They provided the electricity for us. And they're providing jobs for I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people, right? And that gets to the C in the SRC. The C is circulation. Is circulation, right? When we participate through our financial affairs, we are participating in the divine law of circulation, right? We're putting it out there and we're getting, in that case, in the case of our bills, we're getting a service back, right? So that's a kind of giving where we put something out and we expect something back, yeah? But nonetheless, it is reflective of this idea of circulation. We pay them, they give us lights, they pay their people. Their people take the money that they get in their paychecks. They go out in the world, they buy stuff, and that supports people who made the stuff and people who are working in the store who's selling the stuff, and so on and so forth and so on and so forth. You see how that's circulation? Right? Okay. So now if we step kind of back a little bit into where we might be feeling a little bit of lack. We might be feeling, my money's funny. It's not quite the way I'm wanting it to be. Well, I paid all my bills, but I wanted to go to the club. I wanted to go to the theater. That's what I like. I don't club anymore. Not that I didn't enjoy it when I did. But, I might want to go see that new Broadway play. Anybody know how much a ticket for Hamilton costs? There you go. There you go. There you go. I might want to go see Hamilton. I like plays. Right? But I'm looking, my bills are covered, but where's my play money? Where's my play money? How do I bump that up? So my surefire, and I say surefire because it's never failed me. It has never ever failed me. And I'm putting this in first person singular so that you understand I'm not just saying this is what you need to do. I'm telling you it's what I do myself. I bump up my tithes and contributions, right? I increase my tithing. And when I increase my giving, magic, miracles, whatever we want to call it, happens. Now, an interesting part of the way that happens, and I find it to be interesting, is that somehow or another, and I want you guys and women and guys, because I know y'all too guys shop, right? A very interesting thing seems to happen in my experience when I bump it up. And that is that my desire to be in Macy's evaporates. It's like real magic. Or, because I like to push the envelope, I'll go in Macy's, but I don't see anything I want. Nothing is saying I must go home with you today. Now, I have tried this, I've experimented with it, and I have literally seen that as I both bump up my tithes, I'm going to add another one now, and focus on this idea of stewardship, right? Because when I'm thinking about stewardship, what I'm doing is I'm inviting Spirit in. I'm inviting God to be my partner. And there's this idea that where God and I are together, that's a majority. So I'm asking for some divine guidance here when I'm talking about my stewardship. So my stewardship begins with when I get the money, wherever it comes from, whatever the source is, be it expected or unexpected. When I get it, what are my rules? That's the stewardship. What are my rules? So for me, my rules are tithe. Number one, take the tithes off, right? So what I'll do if I have something else I need to do, I'll move the tithing money to someplace else. So it's not even in the pool anymore. Number one is tithing. Number two is saving. Because for me, now I'm just me, not y'all. I know you guys are all excellent savers. Excellent. I have to have it come out before I put my hands on it, right? Then is my bills. Okay, I'm already at number 3, right? You still got some money. I have met my bills now. Pay the bills. What did they say in that book? Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Yes?
Yes.
Now, absolutely. Now, in that quote, Jesus was talking about pay your taxes. Don't nobody in here frown up, right? Because those streets that we walked in on, that we drove on the bridge, in my case, that I came across. All of that stuff is paid for with our taxes. So, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Pay your bills. And then I go to, now the rest is for me. Now y'all know I'm a parent, right? So I'm not going to drill down into that, but you know that me gets expanded when you're a parent. I'm going to leave that alone right now. But the rest is for me. What I have found is that when I stick to follow that formula, I'm talking about stewardship now, somehow there's money there. There's money for me to go do fun stuff, right? Now you're also at choice. You're also at choice, and I kid you not when I say I have not chosen to buy Hamilton tickets. And I might be generational, you know, because I remember when you could get a ticket to the theater for $25. And I was kind of okay with 100, 150 even. Hamilton's more than that. On the sale matinee, it's more than that. So it's been a choice. But I have choice. I have choice because I've done the stewardship part, because I have put that formula into place. You hear me? Now that's not the only way we could show up. We could show up in the S, right? Now the S is spend. Get it, spend it. Before you get it, spend it, that's called a credit card, right? Spend, 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 spend. Now in that spending, what we're doing is we're putting out, we are not including tithing or giving in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And by doing that, we are cutting ourselves off from circulation. So when I cut myself off from circulation, that means I'm putting out, but I'm not making a space for it to come back. Will I get paid? Yes. I'm going to get paid. If I got a job, they're going to give me a check because that's how that works. But watch what happens when I'm spending. When I'm spending and not consciously circulating, when I get that check, oh my God, the refrigerator died. The car needs new tires. Somebody had an emergency, probably me. Right? I haven't looked even in the direction of trying to save anything because I'm not interested in circulating. Because even when we save now, in all of these places where we save, they take that money and what do they do with it? They invest it. Right? Now they tell me, I don't personally know, but they tell me that when you have millions of dollars in the bank and you want to withdraw some of it, like a big chunk of it, you have to let them know. That you can't just roll in there and go up to the teller and say, I'd like to take out 1.5 million today. That does not work. Because that money that you given them, they've invested it. Right? When you drive down the street and you see they're building houses and there's a big old sign that says, this complex was financed by Bank of America, or Wells Fargo, or blah, 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 or whoever it may be, they've invested it. The thing I'm wanting you to hear, the thing I'm inviting you to taste and see is that circulation builds wealth. Builds personal as well as collective wealth. That circulation is a spiritual practice. That one of the key aspects of that spiritual practice is tithing, which means giving 1/10 of your income, all your income, to where you are spiritually fed. which I, of course, would like to believe is right here. And it includes places where you might get spiritually fed serendipitously as you're just walking through the world, as you're being out there with that problem on your mind and a total stranger, or in the example that Edwene Gaines gives in her book, a waitress gives you the exact right answer and solution to your problem without even knowing it. I would say that's some spiritual food right there. It's real cool to share, to give some money, because we're talking about money. Now, briefly, very briefly, I want to touch on this idea of, well, I gave my time. So is it time that you're wanting to manifest? If you want some time, give some time. But if you want some money, give money. It's almost a duh. Florence Scovel Shinn, in her book, The Game of Life and How to Use It, in chapter 2, The Law of Prosperity, talks about how we must prepare for our good, how we have to get ready for it. And she uses two examples that I'd like to share with you. One is she talks about taste and see, go out and do it, right? You want that Mercedes? Go to the Mercedes dealership and drive one. Test drive one, and I gotta tell you, they treat you really nice at the Mercedes dealerships. They really, really do. You know how you walk in, and pretty much most dealerships these days, they have tea and coffee and whatnot. My 12-step people close your ears. They have champagne at the Mercedes dealership. And they are really just the nicest people. They are just wonderful, they are. You know, and when you go for the test drive, they really want to make sure you're comfortable in that seat. They ask you things like your favorite colors or what kind of places you like to go to. They're just nice, friendly people. You want a Mercedes? You want a Mercedes down the road? Go drive one today, because you can. Taste and see. The example Florence uses is that of going to a restaurant. Go out someplace where they do fine dining, right? Order off the appetizer menu, right? But you're in it, right? With the linen tablecloths and the wait staff is all dressed up. Taste and see. Taste and see. The other thing she talks about is preparing. I shared with the class yesterday that I had an experience that I'm not going to go into today, but I will. It's not a secret. I will share it with you. But as a result of that experience, I called my prayer partner, I called my practitioner, I called my mentor, I called my sponsor, and then I had a young lady come over to help me organize. All 5 of those people said to me, oh, it's time for you to start releasing stuff. Clean out your closets. Well, how many of those did you say you have? So I'm a Franklin Covey person. What that means is that I've been buying Franklin Covey organizers and binders for the last 20, 25 years. Right? So I have them in 2 different sizes. I have the compact and I have the classic. And I have them in lots of different colors too. So the young lady who was there to help me is all of 30. And so she's looking, first of all, what is that? What are those? Because you know I got my binders nicely lined up on the shelf with size places and everything. Then she's like, well, what do you do with that?
Nothing, just sit there.
And why do you need so many? Then she gets all in my stuff. I know you have a smartphone because I saw it. Why don't you keep your calendar in your smartphone? Did you know there's a notes application? Right? But the point is, which I kind of have to acknowledge, I probably do not need to have, and don't judge, okay? Do not judge.
No one to.
I may not need 10 binders of varying sizes. I may not. I may not. I may need to just clear some of that stuff out. So when we're wanting to create more, we have to clean out, we have to clear out, we have to create order. And then we have to walk by faith. So in the Bible story that Florence Scovel-Shinn quotes, she quotes this story that's in 2 Kings, 3rd chapter, 14th to 16th verses. And it is a story about 3 kings who are, you know, in the Old Testament, they're always going to go, they're on their way to make war someplace. So they're on their way to make war, and lo and behold, they're in the middle of the desert, and they have no water for themselves, for their men, or for their animals, for their horses. They are water free. And needless to say, probably having a little bit of a panic attack. So they pray. Spiritual practices. They pray. They do their spiritual practices. And in response to them doing their spiritual practices, God speaks to them. And God says, I'm going to need you, not your men, you. So there's a little humility being called for here. I'm going to need you to dig some holes. They need to be, you know, in all those Bible things, they say it's so many cubits wide and this deep and all of that. I need you to dig some holes all over this, in this area. And so I don't doubt that some of them were a little skeptical, but they knew they'd just done their spiritual practices. So that's one of the things I do like about that Old Testament. There's a lot of faith there. Those people in the Old Testament had a personal relationship with God, which is, by the way, what we're talking about. So they said, all right, well, let's get busy and dig some holes. And they dug some holes. Let's say it was 10 o'clock in the morning. By the time they got all the holes dug, it was probably maybe like 2 in the afternoon. I imagine that it would take some time to dig all these holes. They dug the holes and nothing happened. They went to sleep. We did what we were supposed to do. They went to sleep. And when they woke up in the morning, you know what happened? Every hole was filled to the brim, filled to overflowing. There was enough water and then some. They could have gone to 2 villages down and brought those people, and there was water for them too, because they prepared. How do we prepare for money to flow to us freely and copiously from sources known and unknown? What do we do to make way? Do we affirm, I'm circling back around now, do we affirm that it's already given? That it's already given. Ernest Holmes says, to begin with, we must come to see that the supreme intelligence must, not could or should, but must, in creating man, have also made a way by which he could be provided for in harmony and in peace and without robbing anyone of that which belongs to him. So in that there is this idea that is already given, and that what we get to do is claim it. What we are compelled and impelled to do is claim it. And we claim it by stepping into and operating from the law of circulation. And we prime that law of circulation through our giving, and we got our sides. We got our sides. Hey, through our gratitude. First and foremost, through our gratitude. Every person that writes, and I've probably read I don't know, 95% of them about prosperity. Gratitude. Gratitude. What am I grateful for? There's always something to be grateful for. Right? I got up this morning. I'm breathing. There's always something to be grateful for. And forgiveness. Forgiveness. When we break that word down, it's talking about giving for. Forgiveness. And again, that's one of those areas where a pretty good chunk of our forgiveness work is forgiving ourselves. It's forgiving ourselves. Because even when we are about the whodunit to us, the whodunit, and that's the first kingdom of consciousness, but we'll talk about that later, towards the latter part of the month. Even when we're in the bad, wrong, and awful that they did to me, there is that part of me that's upset because I let it happen. Right? Am I the only one? I let it happen. The thing that happened, how did I let that happen to me? Right? Forgiveness. Forgiveness is key. And when I'm trying to find my way to that place called forgiveness, I got to remember that the grace of God is operating. Right? So grace is like our bridge from where we are to where we need to be through the tools that we need to use. Ashe? Amen?
Amen.
And so it is.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much. Let's see. Let's do our affirmation next. Let's do that. So it's on the lower left-hand side of your program. So I'm going to give you a minute to read it, and then we'll read it together. Okay, we ready? I love, flow, and grow as I enthusiastically participate in the divine circulation of abundant supply. And so it is. And so it is.